Hey guys and gals, it's Jim here, and here with long anticipated pint of the Grissom and long anticipated video for everybody and all that. And this isn't the final video, this is just a completed model. I will be doing a final video once I get my base done with one of my ideas, whichever one I decide to use. I make my own bases. I don't use little plastic bases because occasionally I do take these and display them outdoors in different events, and those little plastic bases, if they get a windy day or a good wind gust, it will blow things around. So but anyway, I got the model completed yesterday evening, with the nacelles being attached to final assembly, and went over things, took care of a couple little things that I had issues with. Before I forget about anything, I mentioned these two decals back here, one on each corner. You leave those on until you attach the upper and lower body parts together, because they're wider than that front decal underneath the saucer area. These got to go on a certain way. They're I noticed after I put the first one on, I had to slide it back off. Fortunately, it was still very wet and everything, so I was able to get slide it off without any issues. But the stripes on there, those darker stripes, one of them is longer than the other one. And if you look at the shape of the curvature, the cutout in there, you got a longer wall and a shorter wall. So make sure the longer stripe goes on the longer wall and the shorter one on the other wall. They're not numbered differently. They're both numbered. I believe they're numbered number one on the decal sheet. They're right next to each other. So you can use either one on either side, but just make sure you put them on in the correct direction. So that's it. One thing that I was looking over some photos last night, and one thing that round two could have done, they could have included, which is on the studio models, whether it's the Pegasus, Grissom, or whatever. There is, just like on a battleship, there is a name back here. Should be a Grissom decal that goes back there. Maybe someday somebody will make one up. I'm not going to make up just one little decal for no little reason and all that. So, but yeah, they should have included a little decal back there that says Grissom on there. I think there's stuff like that even on the big refit behind the officers' lounge and stuff like that. Little Enterprise decal and stuff. So that's that. I like the way my engine, of course, on the camera it's going to be a lot brighter and washed out, but in person, that is really diffused big time on that rear the thruster engine and stuff. It's a real nice deep red, and it's got it's got a dull coat matte finish to it and everything, and you can't really see a hot spot. But then too, I did mount the bulb where it's up in this area and not down inside that little cavity and stuff. So that helps a lot with the hot spot too. Got both of my LEDs back there underneath the back end. Got all that back um, bulkhead wall back there. Got all that light blocked and stuff. No light leaks on there, so I'm happy with that. I know everybody was having issues with those clear plastic parts and stuff, and they could have designed a couple things a little differently and stuff on this model and all that. So and it's actually kind of hard to use a fiber optic in those. And one thing about fiber optics, they look great when you look at something straight on, but when you turn the model sideways, you don't really see them lit up and everything, unless you don't, you just cut the tips off of them. But most of the times we blossom the ends to make them a little brighter and stuff, and kind of make them like a little beacon, like a light cover would be and stuff. So anyway, that all turned out real good back there. My rear strobe lights, I got those all painted up correctly and stuff, and just the little beacon part is exposed, so the strobes look like they should, and all that stuff. I'm gonna flip around. I know it's a little darker, but didn't want to do this in sunlight because a lot of stuff don't show well. I did blend in with some perfect plastic putty along the seam where the pylons come up to meet the underside of the body, where the nacelles join and all that. So I took care of that. You still see a little bit, but it's not a definite seam like you normally would have. This is my two front navigation lights. Those are, like I said, those are clear parts that go in from the underside. They're about an 1/8 inch, maybe a little bigger than an 1/8 inch. And I noticed most of the builds so far, the few that there have been, they're lit up. The entire piece of plastic, clear plastic, is lit up and exposed, and they shouldn't be that way. It should be painted the same color gray as the stripe going down, and just a regular size navigation light coming out of there. So, and there is a little bead on the top of that and stuff. Another thing I took care of today, which I was waiting also for my video, you can see the strobe light on the belly of the pontoon now. Previously, that was flush and all that, and it was all actually that's a pretty thick piece of plastic down there. It's right in the center of the seam, and it's built up a little bit on the inside also for strength, and a little bit where the little plastic insert snaps in, and so you really couldn't see unless you turned it upside down or put a mirror underneath the model. So what I did is I took a little bit of clear acrylic nail polish, clear. And I just put a very tiny bead right on top of the clear part and stuff, and it's pretty much that much flipper. It's not much bigger than the rest of the plastic parts and everything, and it turned out great. But at least now you could see it from sideways and stuff. I was kind of looking back at my big refit and stuff, and it's got one down there on the bottom of the secondary hull, and you can actually see a little bit. The light lens is protruding a little, sticking out a little bit. So I thought this should be the same. Maybe in the future, round two could come up with the plastic parts a little bit longer, but that's what I did. Clear acrylic nail polish, just a real tiny dab, just barely got it on the tip of a toothpick and just touched it right on that little clear part. Pulled back real quick and let it dry like that, and I actually let it dry hanging downward so that way it wouldn't pull up and run off to the sides and create more of a problem for me. So got that taken care of. Got the underside of the underside navigation lights and all that. Now I didn't do any kind of dull coat on the bottom where the windows are lit, because they're a lot not as bright as the top were, because basically all that's shining down on that is the lights from the top bouncing off from the top of the saucer. And I do have one little white SMD towards the back of it and stuff that I had left over, so I used it up on there to add a little bit of extra light and stuff. So that took care of that. But I did give this a couple coats on the top of the saucer to tone down the lights. You don't see the hot spots as badly. I mean, you can still tell there's LED strip in there, if you look real hard, but you really got to get up close and stuff. They don't show up. Where before I did it, and they were just a clear, crystal clear plastic window inserts. You could really see what was going on inside of there. So that turned out pretty nice overall. Happy with the way the model turned out and all that. I like the way they designed where the shuttle bays get lit. I wish they would have maybe included a tiny shuttle to set in one of them or something. I don't know what kind of shuttles. They use the same ones that they did on the Enterprise, but these are a little bit smaller openings than the shuttle bay on the Enterprise, so I imagine they had their own shuttles possibly for this up and back to the planet. Now, I didn't do it, but I did notice some pictures on screen, still shots, that those two little rectangular tan areas were on the Grissom. Those have something to do with the transporters and stuff. So, but it didn't show it on the sheet, and those decals were numbered. Actually, the numbers they tell you not to use for the Grissom. Use them for the Pegasus. So. But other than that, real happy. It was fun to build. Like the way all my Aztecing style work came out, just the right shades and stuff like that. Everything is pretty much dull coated on the model. I do have I did leave those semi-gloss so they stick out a little bit more. They're not really super glossy, but they're a little shinier than the rest of the ship and everything. So but that's pretty much about it. It was fun to work on. Um, Lighting was a little bit, not a challenge. It was just tedious. Make sure you always had power wires going up to your next level for whatever lights you had for the next level and all that. It was very similar to wiring up the big refit, just not nearly as many lights in it and stuff. So, but it was very similar where you got your two pylons and everything. Make sure you got power going up all the way to the top of your pylons when you get to the last step for your nacelles. Make sure you got all your wires running up, keep them separated. I got this 2 circuits. I got the one for the strobes, and I got a separate one for all my constant on lighting and stuff, and they'll all tie into my base with my power cord and stuff like that. So it's pretty much about it. I'm running this off of 9 volts because there are quite a few LEDs in here. Even though they're small SMDs, they don't draw a lot of power, but I did on my 1989 Michael Keaton Batmobile, I had a good half a dozen or so LEDs in there. Usually if I'm going to run 9-volt battery, it's only if I got maybe 2, 3, 4 at the most LEDs, because they will drain a 9-volt battery pretty quick. But I use a 9-volt battery on there, and if I turn it on for more than an hour, that battery is dead. So I should have ran that up of there. Another way you could go if you want to do this and not use batteries, if you want. I thought about it, but it's kind of too late because everything in here is resisted for as far as 12 volts. I mean, you could run anywhere from 9 to 12 volts, but I would have had to cut down on the resistance on even the SMDs with their the pre-wired ones. You could run this if you resist everything properly. You could resist everything for 5 or 6 volts and run it off of a USB cable and stuff like that. I thought about that. I thought that would be pretty cool. You could make it portable, take it wherever you want, and use it on one of those portable chargers for your phones and stuff, because those run with the USB cable, and you could use those to power something like a battery and stuff like that. So but basically, yeah, I'm happy with the way she came out. It was a lot of fun to work on. It's a nice little ship, nice model. A couple things. I think these hair inserts, you don't have room in the back for those strobe light areas to actually make a separate part and then stick a little clear piece in there, because there's not a lot of room between the top and bottom and stuff. But in the front, I think they could have cast those parts regular styrene and just made the little countersink in them like the rest of the navigation lights, and where you got the little clear piece that inserts in the center of them and stuff like that, because paint just doesn't like to stick to clear plastic. It just takes time and all that and patience to get things done up just right and everything. So anyway, like I said, this isn't my final video or nothing like that. I might take some clear, I got some clear flat clear in a bottle. I might take and just dab that on top of a couple green LEDs to kind of tone them down to match the red ones and everything, because the green are brighter than the red. And I even noticed that with my regular LEDs, like 3mm, 5mm, the green ones, for some reason they call them true green, and the red ones are just red. For some reason, the green LEDs are brighter and stuff like that. So I might do a little bit like that. But if I do anything else to this, I'll let you guys know when I do the final video, when I got it mounted on the base and everything. So, but yeah, for now, that's going to about do it and everything. Happy with the way all my masking and stuff worked out for me and stuff. That's the first time I use paint masks. Usually I do my own masking. Even when I did the 350 at Katinga, I masked every different color off by myself. Once I got it painted, I pulled all the masks, masked the next color and stuff like that. So, but yeah, this one, there was no way I was going to be able to do that all by hand. Now, maybe if I decide to build another one, since I got a model to go off of, I can mask things up, freehand and stuff like that. I noticed another thing in some photos. On this here, on the sides of the nacelles, the inner and outer sides, there's one of these panels is a darker gray and everything. But then too, I noticed on the still shots from the movie that I downloaded, there were the whole ship was Aztec, not just that masked off, paint job. It had Aztecing all over it, just like the Enterprise and stuff. So, um, but anyway, that's gonna do it for now. I want to thank everybody for following along with this build, and I want to thank all my subscribers. Thanks to all my new subscribers. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for all the great comments you guys been leaving me and all that. And this is my little work base I made up. It's just a dowel on a piece of one by board pine, and then I got a little smaller dowel that I can set my model on. Now once I'm done, now that I'm done with it, once I get my base finished, this will slide into the brass tube I already got mounted on my base for my height and everything. It'll probably be a little shorter than this and everything, but it's still going to be where you can get up and see underneath it and all that stuff. So, but that's pretty much what I use to work on it. So I can twirl it around, spin it around. Sometimes I got to remove it and set it down on the table, depending on what I'm doing and stuff. So yeah, that'll do it for now. So till the next time, I might take a day or two off and kick around some ideas for my base, what I want to do with it. It's basically just my wood frame base that I make out of 1x2 pine, the framework, and then I use the hobby plywood on top of it and stuff, sand it down smooth and give it a nice paint, a black paint job. And this one I painted in a semi-gloss, so it's kind of shiny, and you could kind of see the reflection of the bottom strobe and everything in it. But I want to do some type of like a mural top on it or something like that to add some interest rather than just having a plain black base with the model sitting on it and stuff. So, but that's going to do it for now. So till I get the base done and all that and stuff, till the next time, my next update will be the final and all that. So we'll talk to you then. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye.